Jackson first earned the name of Stonewall during the Battle of First Bull Run. A brigadier general called Bernard B. remarked that Jackson was standing like a stone wall whilst everyone else retreated. This was one of his most famous traits as a general. Jackson believed that slavery was God's will to exist, but was still uncomfortable with it. As a result, he taught Sunday school to slaves. This demonstrated that even though it broke social laws and standards, he wanted to be kind. Jackson was considered to be a joker by his close friends. His lightheartedness transferred over to his leadership, and he was known for his rousing speeches that raised morale. During the first wave of secession, from December 1860 through February 1861, during which time 7 southern states declared their independence from the U.S., Jackson hoped that his home state of Virginia would remain in the Union. However, when Jackson succeeded in April 1861, he supported the Confederacy, showing his loyalty to his state over the federal government. Jackson served only briefly as a colonel before receiving a promotion to brigadier general under General Joseph E. Johnson. In the spring of 1862, Jackson spearheaded the Shenandoah Valley Campaign, firmly establishing himself as a strong and independent commander. The Confederate Army's high command had charged him with the task of defending Western Virginia from an invasion by Union troops. With an army of some 15,000 to 18,000 troops, Jackson repeatedly outmaneuvered a superior Union force of more than 60,000 men. Jackson's army moved so quickly during the campaign that they dubbed themselves foot cavalry. President Abraham Lincoln had split the Union Army into 3 parts, and Jackson used his mobility to attack and confuse the divided forces over the course of the campaign. He won several key victories over armies of larger size. By the campaign's end in June, he had earned the admiration of Union generals and had become the South's first great war hero. Jackson had prevented the Northerners from taking the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia, and had done so in the face of unfavorable odds. Jackson joined Lee's army in June 1862, and Lee was determined to keep in the thick fighting in Virginia. Chosen for his tactical prowess and bravery, Jackson did not disappoint. From August 1862 until May 1863, he and his troops played key roles in the Second Battle of Bull Run, the Battle of Antietam, and the Battle of Fredericksburg, and the Battle of Chancellorsville. By 1862, Jackson was a lieutenant general and led a significant portion of Lee's army. His widely publicized exploits had elevated him to legendary status among Southern soldiers and citizens alike. Jackson's bravery and success inspired devotion from his soldiers, but to his officers he was known as overly secretive and difficult to please. He frequently punished his officers for relatively minor violations of military discipline and rarely discussed his plans with them. Rather, they were expected to obey his orders without question. Lee and Jackson's most famous victory took place near a crossroad at the Battle of Chancellorsville in Virginia in May 1863. Facing a numerically superior Union force of 130,000 men to 60,000 of their own, Lee and Jackson devised and executed a plan to rout the army of Union General Joseph Hooker. Historians call this battle one of Lee's finest moments as a Confederate general, and his success owed much to Jackson's participation. On May 2nd, Jackson stealthily and quickly took 28,000 troops on approximately a 15-mile forced march to Hooker's exposed flank, while Lee engaged in divisionary attacks on his front. Jackson's attack on the Union rear inflicted massive casualties on the superior force, and Hooker was forced to withdraw only days later. But the victory at the Battle of Chancellorsville was not without cost. Jackson's brutal attack ended at sunset, and he took some men into the forest to scout ahead. A North Carolinian regiment mistook them for enemy cavalry and opened fire, severely wounding Jackson. He was taken from the field, and General J.E.B. Stuart took over his command. Doctors determined that a bullet had shattered the bone just below his left shoulder, and they quickly amputated Jackson's left arm. He was transferred to a field hospital and at a nearby plantation to recover. Lee dispatched a letter writing, "Could I have directed events, I would have chosen for the good of the country to be disabled in your stead." Jackson initially appeared to be healing, but he died from pneumonia on May 10, 1863, at the age of 39. Southerners mourned the death of their war hero, while Lee faced fighting the war without a highly valued general and comrade. Jackson was buried in Lexington, Virginia.